Okay, welcome to Masechet Beitzah. Beitzah Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. We're going to explain a bit the Masechta in general, just a general brief overview, very, very brief. In general, the Masechet Beitzah deals with what's called Halchot Yom Tov, the laws of cooking and preparing on Yom Tov. In general, we're going to get to the idea that on Yom Tov, even though Melacha is Asura, you're not allowed to do prohibited work, you are allowed to do what's called Melechet Ochel Nefesh. Let me see if I can, I'll just write it here. Melechet is called Ochel Nefesh. That's not a mem. Melechet. Computer's acting funny. Melechet Ochel Nefesh. Things that are required in order to prepare food. So you can prepare food, but you can't do everything to prepare food. We're going to see. Meaning you can't go cut the wheat. You basically can only do things that you have to do them today in order for the food to taste fresh. But you can't do absolutely everything, as we're going to see later on in the Mishnah. Nonetheless, in order to understand our Mishnah, we're going to talk about what's called muktzah. Okay, so in order to talk about muktzah, we're going to read a pasuk from Shemot when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Bnei Yisrael he's going to bring the man down on the Bnei Yisrael. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. God said to Moshe, "Hineni mamtir lachem lechem min hashamayim. I will rain down bread from the heavens. V'yatza ha'am v'laktu dvar biyom biyomo, and they'll collect each day leman anasenu yelech b'torah te'im lo, so that I can test them, will they follow my Torah or not." What happens on Friday? V'haya b'yom hashishi v'hechinu et asher yaviyu. V'hechinu, on the sixth day, they will prepare that which they will bring. Okay? We have to prepare that which we'll bring. Every Shabbat or Chag requires hachana. Shabbat or Yom Tov Doreshet hachana, requires our items that we use on them, and for the meals especially, to be prepared. And therefore, I wrote it in Hebrew, chafetz shelo huchan merosh, something that wasn't prepared before is called eino mina muchan. It's not muchan, it's not ready. Or muktzeh. Muktzeh means pushed away. So therefore, if I did not have the idea of using something on Shabbat or Yom Tov, it's not muchan. And if it's not muchan, if it's not ready, then it's muktzeh. It's pushed away, it's not something I can use on the Shabbat or the Chag. Okay, that's what we basically need to know. And it doesn't matter if I could prepare it or I couldn't prepare it. There are some things that are not preparable. For example, a Beitzah, an egg. I can't prepare the egg because it's not here yet. It doesn't exist. So if an egg, so the Gemara wants to know, the Mishnah wants to know, it's really interesting. So the Mishnah assumes that you know all these halachot, that you know the basic halacha, and it's expanding on it. We're going to see that the Mishnah is basically a halacha of an unusual, very, very unusual case. We'll read the Mishnah and then I'll explain. Beitzah shenoda b'Yom Tov, an egg that was laid on Yom Tov. Beit Shammai omrim te'achel. Beit Shammai says, go ahead and eat it. Beit Hillel omrim lo te'achel. Beit Hillel says, you cannot eat it. Okay, so the Gemara asks a very simple question. The Gemara says, let's take our chicken here. If the chicken was going to lay the egg before Yom Tov, on Yom Tov, if the chicken was going to get ready to lay the egg, then I had in mind to eat the egg. So that's muchan. I had it in mind. And if the chicken wasn't an egg-laying chicken, then I can't eat it anyway. So what kind of chicken is it? So in order to understand this question, the answer is, we have to look at the Bartanura, because the Gemara explains what the Gemara says we're talking about. The Gemara says the following. B'Yom Tov shela'achar Shabbat askina. It's talking about a case where the egg, you want to eat the egg not on Shabbat. The egg was laid, here we are. Let's say this is a Sunday through Shabbat. The egg was laid on Shabbat, and Shabbat is Shabbat before the first day of Pesach, Yom Tov. Okay? Actually, I could fill all this in and make it also, okay? But this is Chag. This is the first day of Pesach, and since it's Chag, this is Yom Tov. So I have a Shabbat and a Yom Tov. And in order for me to eat something on Shabbat, it has to be mina much on Yom Tov. It has to be prepared, mina muchan. But the egg was laid on Shabbat. So let's look at the Bartanura. Ta'amav de Beit Hillel de Amrei lo techa. Beit Hillel says don't eat it. Mishum dechol beitzah de miyada ha'ina. If the egg was laid today, me'etmol gamra, it was completed, gestated in the chicken yesterday, the day before. V'nimseit, and we find Shabbat mechina liyom tov. And we learn that in this case, in the case of that egg, Shabbat prepares for Yom Tov. The Torah said, this is the pasuk we said, V'aya b'yom hashishi v'hechinu. On a weekday, you can prepare. Stam shishi cholhu. Chol mechin Shabbat, mechol mechin Yom Tov. A chol can prepare for Shabbat over Yom Tov. Okay? But, ein Yom Tov mechin Shabbat, v'lo Shabbat mechina Yom Tov. Okay, Yom Tov can't prepare for Shabbat, and Shabbat can't prepare for Yom Tov. So if the egg is laid on a Shabbat before Yom Tov, for sure, I can't eat it on Shabbat, and definitely I can't eat it on Yom Tov because it was prepared on Shabbat for Yom Tov, which is prohibited. Okay? I'm preparing this egg, even though God did it, you didn't do it. Mikriya hachana, it's called hachana based on God. Okay? But I'm just going to skip a little bit. What about a regular Yom Tov? Let's say, I don't know, Yom Tov, the Yom Tov in the middle of a weekday. It wasn't Shabbat before. The egg was laid on Yom Tov. They said asur. Why? Even though it's not a Beitzah that was laid on a Shabbat, and you want to eat it the next day. Because maybe if we allow you to eat the egg laid on Yom Tov, then you eat the egg laid on Yom Tov. You'll eat the egg on Yom Tov after Shabbat. Like this case. If I allow you to eat it on here, then I allow you to eat it here, not realizing, wait, it was laid on Shabbat, and then it's lo muchan, and that's asur. That is the position of Beit Hillel. Beit Hillel says lo te'achel. I can't eat a regular egg that was laid on Yom Tov, because if I allow you to eat it on Yom Tov, then I'm afraid that you're going to eat it on Shabbat, on a Yom Tov after Shabbat. Whereas Beit Shammai says te'achel, you can eat it, because I'm not afraid that if you eat an egg that was laid on Yom Tov, you're going to eat an egg that was laid on Yom Tov after Shabbat. Next case. Beit Shammai omrim seor bekazayit v'chametz bekakotevet. Okay, Beit Shammai says the quantity of seor is a kazayit, whereas chametz is a kakotevet, it's the size of a date. Beit Hillel omrim, Beit Hillel says zeh v'zeh bekazayit. The measurement of each one is kazayit. What are we arguing about? What's the machloket? The Bartanura says inyan achila lo plige. Everyone agrees that to eat what's seor. Excuse me. Chametz, we know what chametz is, bread. Seor is leaven. Anybody who's ever made sour bread knows it's not the yeast that we have today, but they would have what's called starter. And the starter would grow. It was chametz. It was seor. It was something that caused other things to rise. Okay? So therefore, are they different measurements or not? So let's read it again. Beit Shammai says seor. The measurement of seor is kazayit. But chametz is a kakotevet, is a date. Beit Hillel says, no, both seor, both the leavening agent and the chametz are kazayit. What's the difference? The Bartanura says the following. The Torah says, seor lo yimatzeh bebatechem, ki kol ochel machmetzeh. You shall not find lo yimatzeh bebatechem. It cannot be in your house. If you have it in your house, you have to get rid of it. That's biur. You have to be meva'er. But you're also not allowed to eat it. Lo malacha zeu seor v'zeu chametz, kazeh kain gazeh. For eating, it's the same. Ki pligi le'inyan biur. Where do they argue? Regarding the halacha of biur, of destroying it. Beit Shammai savrei. Beit Shammai says, since they're both mentioned, seor and chametz, they have different measurements. And Beit Hillel says, no, zeh v'zeh b'kazayit. What's interesting to note here is, in both cases, Beit Shammai is mekel, they're lenient. Te'achel, eat the egg. Beit Shammai says the measurement required in order to be meva'er seor is kazah chametz, is a larger measurement, kakotevet. As Beit Hillel says, no, they're both kazayit, they're both the size of kazayit, so they're more machmir. The smaller measurement of chametz still has to be destroyed, has to be removed from your house. Very long Mishnah. I hope I explained it in a way that was understandable. If you have comments or questions, as always, welcome to our Mishnah, artsmolder@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate our learning, as we always do, to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.